She wrote some of the most beloved novels in the English language on a tiny writing table in stolen hours, hiding her manuscripts whenever a door creaked open. She never married. She was barely famous in her lifetime. She died at 41, with much of her private correspondence burned at her own request. And yet 200 years later, her vision of the human heart remains unmatched. How did Jane Austen see people so clearly when the world could barely see her at all? Human design is a modern synthesis of ancient wisdom and quantum physics to map a person's unique energetic blueprint. It reveals not just who you are, but how you are designed to move through the world. Jane Austen didn't know human design, but her life? It demonstrates its principles with breathtaking precision. Based on her birth date of the 16th of December, 1775, in Steventon, Hampshire, England, and noting that her exact birth time was never recorded, Jane Austen appears to have been a projector. Projectors make up just 20% of the population. They are the seers of human design, gifted with an almost supernatural ability to understand other people, to read systems, to guide. But here's the catch. Projectors are not built for the relentless hustle of the world. Their strategy is to wait for recognition and invitation. Their shadow, when they push too hard for a world that hasn't invited them yet, bitterness. Jane was the seventh of 8 children born to Reverend George Austen and his wife Cassandra. The Steventon rectory was alive with noise, visitors, brothers, students, theatricals, a whirlwind of energy that Jane observed from the edges. From a projector's perspective, this was both gift and challenge. Projectors absorb the energy of those around them. They don't generate it themselves. Little Jane, growing up in a house full of boisterous brothers with boundless sacral energy, would have been watching, cataloging, learning the texture of human behavior in exquisite detail. This is precisely what projectors do best. Her father recognized something rare in her. He opened his library to Jane and her sister Cassandra, unusual for girls of that era, and invited her into a world of books and ideas. That was her first great invitation, and she responded with everything she had, writing stories by age 12, a novella by 14. With an open sacral center, as all projectors have, Jane was not designed for sustained, relentless output. She needed rest. She needed quiet. She needed small, intimate spaces where she could process the enormous amount of energy she absorbed from the world around her. The cramped corner of a parlor, a tiny writing table, stolen hours before the household stirred, this wasn't limitation. This was her design in action. At 19, Jane met Tom Lefroy, a young Irish lawyer visiting relatives nearby. By all accounts, they were electric together. She wrote of him to Cassandra with barely concealed delight, but Tom Lefroy's family pulled him away. He needed a wealthy marriage. Jane had neither fortune nor connections. The invitation was rescinded before it could truly begin. For a projector, this is the wound that runs deepest. To be seen, truly, joyfully seen, and then have that recognition taken away. Jane did not rage publicly. She retreated inward, and she wrote First Impressions. The early draft of what would become Pride and Prejudice was begun not long after. Projectors transmute their bitterness into brilliance when they have the right outlet. In human design, the period around ages 28 to 30 is known as the Saturn return, a cosmic reckoning when life strips away what no longer fits your true design. For many, it is the most turbulent passage of early adulthood. Jane Austen's Saturn return was devastating. In late 1802, she briefly accepted a marriage proposal from Harris Big Wither, a wealthy, socially suitable man, and by the next morning, she had changed her mind. Regardless of the practical security it would have offered, something in Jane's deepest knowing said no. A projector with a splenic authority, a quiet, instantaneous bodily truth doesn't override that signal even when the mind screams otherwise. Then, On Jane's 29th birthday, the 16th of December, 1804, her beloved mentor and friend, Madame Lefroy, died in a riding accident. On that exact day, 6 weeks later, on the 21st of January, 1805, her father died suddenly, plunging the family into financial precarity. Jane, her mother, and her sister Cassandra were now dependent on the charity of her brothers. She stopped writing for years. This is the not-self theme of the projector in full force bitterness, not as a character flaw, but as a signal. You are out of alignment. The recognition has not come. The invitation has not arrived. Rest, wait, trust. The world of Bath, with its shallow social performances and relentless busyness, was perhaps the least projector-friendly environment imaginable for Jane Austen. In July 1809, Jane's brother Edward offered the women a cottage on his Hampshire estate at Chawton. It was modest, it was quiet, it was hers, and something unlocked. Within months, Jane was revising. Within 2 years, Sense and Sensibility was published. Then, Pride and Prejudice. Then, Mansfield Park, Emma, Persuasion, 6 novels, 4 of them written or substantially completed in the Chawton years. This is the projector in full alignment, invited into the right environment with the right support, working from a place of rest rather than force. The sacral is open, the energy comes in bursts when conditions are correct. And for Jane Austen at Chawton, conditions were finally beautifully correct. She didn't chase publishers or fight for public recognition. She published anonymously by a lady. She allowed the work to speak. She let the world come to her. Fame came in small, meaningful doses. The Prince Regent admired her work so fervently that his librarian extended a formal invitation for Jane to dedicate her next novel to him. An invitation. Even the monarchy recognized the projector, but Jane's body was already beginning to fail her. By 1816, she felt the first signs of what modern doctors believe may have been Addison's disease, a condition of the adrenal system, the body's energy regulation center. A projector's biology, exhausted at last. She kept writing Persuasion and Sanditon through increasing weakness. On the 18th of July, 1817, Jane Austen died in Winchester at the age of 41. She had never experienced the full force of public recognition. She died, for most of the world, as a lady. The world recognized her after she was gone. Jane Austen didn't live loudly. She didn't accumulate wealth or power. She never married, never traveled far, never published her name, but she lived her design. She observed when others performed. She rested when others pushed. She waited for genuine invitations rather than forcing her way into a world that wasn't ready for her. She wrote from a place of deep, quiet knowing her projector's gift to see the entire social system, its rules and hypocrisies and hidden hearts, more clearly than anyone inside it ever could. Her design was her sovereignty, and the sovereignty she exercised on that small writing table in stolen hours, in quiet rooms, without recognition or reward, shaped how 2 centuries of readers understand love, society, and the architecture of a human heart. That is what it means to live your design. Jane Austen never heard the words human design. She never knew she was a projector or that her bitterness during those Bath years was a compass pointing her back toward herself, or that the quiet Chawton cottage wasn't a consolation. It was the precise environment her blueprint required, and yet she lived it imperfectly, painfully, brilliantly. She embodied the truth that when you stop fighting your own nature and start trusting it, when you wait for the real invitations, rest without guilt, and offer your gift to those who can actually receive it, the work you leave behind can outlast empires. While Jane Austen couldn't consciously work with her energetic blueprint, you can. Imagine having a map, not of someone else's life, but of yours, your type, your authority, your strategy. The places where you've been pushing against your own design without knowing it. The invitations worth waiting for. The environments where you, like Jane at Chawton, finally come alive. If Jane Austen's story has sparked something in you, that recognition of a life lived in quiet alignment with an inner truth, we invite you to begin your own inquiry. Take our free clarity quiz to discover your human design type and start understanding the unique blueprint you've been living all along. Whether you knew it or not, the invitation is open. Are you ready to respond?